Hello there. Recently acquired this 19th century revolver, pocket model, 32 cal, by W.R. Pape of Newcastle. I've not been able to find out much information about it. I found one advert for this pistol, exact pistol, described as a ladies model, not by the advert but by the website I found the advert on. I'm not sure that this would be a lady's pistol. It's more of a man's pocket carry. And also Pape, he's quite a well-known gun maker, made a lot of shotguns, not so much I don't think on small arms like this. So this pistol is in very, very good condition, mechanically, not so much cosmetically. Mechanically there's nothing wrong with it. The only thing is that the loading lever is loose, but you know, at least it doesn't fall down that way, it just tips up. So not too bad at all. It does work. It's double action only. It's got this little safety feature here, or carry feature. You just draw the hammer back slightly and then push down, and this little tab comes up and locks it, so you can load it and carry it ready to fire rather than having to rest the hammer on an unloaded chamber. When you pull the trigger, the hammer goes back and the lug goes down automatically and you're into fire mode. So as you can see, there's lots of pitting on this. It's not seriously bad. I think it will be improved by cleaning. You can just about still see the maker's name. It says R.W. Pape, W.R. Pape, Newcastle upon Tyne. But the checkering is still really nice on the grips. So yeah, you can see there is a lot of rust in these holes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip it down and then boil it. Hopefully that'll take out a lot of the rust, and then we can card it and hopefully get it to look a lot better than it does now. So let's start stripping it down. Now, on this pistol, it is really, really good. I think the screws have been disturbed, but I think they're the original screws. That one certainly does look like it. They don't look like they've been disturbed there, and the slots are extremely good on all the screws, so I have to be very careful, which is why I'm choosing my screwdriver bits very, very carefully. That one's probably the worst one. It's quite chewed up, but not as bad as I've seen. Nowhere near as bad as I've seen. Oh yeah, it's nice and free. Oh yes, nice and free. No problem at all. Probably didn't even need to go to all the trouble of grinding down that screwdriver bit. Probably would have been no problem with any old bit, so that's good. My parts box. So now we see the mainspring. That's very free as well. Now see, there's a lot of rust and muck in between the nipple where the nipples are, so hopefully we'll get all that out. So now I think we need to be thinking about taking the pressure off the mainspring. Okay, that's pretty loose now. Okay, that's no resistance with that one. That one's very, very free as well. Okay, so we've got the trigger and hand out. So, where we are on the inside, free as well. That's doing that. Just try and get into that one. That's fine. That's the trigger return spring. Okay, so how are we attached there? Linkage. Yeah. Okay. Now that's a bit chewed up there, so inside being apart before. Alright, we'll deal with that in a moment. Now, this spring. So I think that's as far as I want to go with this bit. I mean, the only other thing that could come off anyway is the arbor, but I ain't gonna mess with that. No, I do think it's worth taking this apart as much as possible. So let's see what we've got. That's not interested. Neither's that. Yeah, that one's going to play. No, I guess. I mean, just have one more go with that. No, I'm going to leave those two screws well alone. I don't think that's. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, so instead of wailing and pounding on these screws needlessly, you know, it'd be nice to get them out and do a really thorough clean, like into there. But for, you know, the potential damage, further damage that you could do to these screws, is just not worth it. Leave it alone. I mean, yeah, just leave it alone. It's as apart as it needs to be, I think. So that's fine. Now I would like to get the nipples out. One of them is actually loose. I ain't got the tool to do it at the minute, so I'm going to have to try and find one or make one. So I've fashioned myself a tool with which to extract said nipples. I don't think they're very tight, to be fair. Yeah, you see that one's loose, no problem. I mean, you could do with making new ones of these, but still, none of them are broken particularly, so not too bad. That one's a bit tight. No, it's loose now. These look homemade anyway, these. That one's loose. Right. Yeah. I think they've cheated a little bit here and used collars. Just taken strips of pipe, drilled them through, and then put these collars on them, because this is totally detached from the actual nipple. Not showing. That's it. Now, how are we gonna get? That's loose, yeah. Didn't need to apply any particular force on that, it's fine. Okay. Well, the threads in the cylinder look good. They look okay. But on these nipples, well, I say nipples, they are pretty chewed up. And it looks like they're just bits of rod that have been threaded, drilled through, and then had this collar put round them. Yeah, you can see it on that one. Anyway, so that's where we are with those. And that's good. So everything except that and that are going to be boiled for an hour to convert some of this rust that's in there. So all the parts are in the pan now, and it's just coming to the boil. The larger parts are just roaming free, but all the small screws and small springs etc. are in this, whatever that is, just to keep them together. And we'll leave that in there for an hour. Wait, now it's been a couple of days, just haven't had time to get around to it, but now we can get on with the actual cleaning. So I'm just going to keep cleaning the barrel until I get it reasonably clean, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do the same on the cylinder. Just use the bronze bush, clean out the threads and the chambers. So I've finished the barrel. I've managed to get it, all the dirt and detritus out of it, but it's pretty poor. It's had a lot of rust in there, and it's very, very pitted. The rifling is almost gone, so yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but yeah, it is what it is. Now the cylinder, I had a go trying to get it out. There's still a lot of rust in there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to boil these two parts again, just to see if I can get that remaining rust. I mean, I've tried with the brushes and I'm going to be there forever, so yeah, I'm going to reboil these and see what happens. Now I do have a large carding wheel, but it's good, but I find it obviously won't get into sort of the nooks and crannies really, and I find that using these brushes on a Dremel, you know, do just as good a job as the carding wheel, but they obviously give you greater control and detail work. So I tend to use these on a quite a low speed on the Dremel, because these are cheap and the bristles fly off and they get everywhere. They're a nightmare when they get in your skin. So let's see how it goes with this. So I'm not pushing hard at all, just very lightly putting the metal on the brush. As you can see, most of this is just coming straight off. Let's have a close look at the finish. So yeah, you can see, although it is still pitted, it's much improved. All the dirt inside the pits is out. Depending on which side you look at it from, it does still appear dirty, but that's the shadow, the light being darker in the pits, so there's nothing you can do about that. But if you do look at it straight on in the light, you can tell it's just clean metal now. So it really is just a case now of doing that on the entire gun, and then we can put it back together. So to get into the really tight areas in the inside of the pistol, I'm using steel wool. It's 4-rod steel wool, just to get into the nooks and crannies where I can't get a brush, and that should work out and get everything in there super clean. So I've got all the parts cleaned now, and I've put a film of barricade over all the metal parts, stop them rusting. Put some wax on the grips and buffed them a bit. So now we can start putting it back together. So I've managed to get the cylinder clean now, get all the rust out of there. I've put barricade all on the cylinder, so hopefully that will stop any further rust from developing. Now these have been a nightmare. The nipple threads, I've had to re-drill and re-drill some of them and re-tap some. The reason that the nipples, well I say nipples, these homemade things, were in so loose, the nipples, the threads were just ruined basically, and some of the nipple holes were bigger than others, so I've drilled them all out and tapped them to a standard size, and these obviously can't reuse these, but I have made a set of new nipples. These were the mistakes, so I had to make 10 in the end, but those ones are no good. Sometimes the drilling came out wrong, sometimes the threading was wrong, sometimes too short, so they're all no good now. But I've got a set that I'm very happy with, so we'll get them installed and put the gun totally back together. Now I've fashioned this elegant tool to install the nipples back in. The original one I made broke because now these fit nice and tightly. It just wasn't strong enough, the previous tool I made, to seat the nipples in. So the cylinder has the new nipples installed. We'll get the grips on and then we're almost there. Okay, so the hammer is hitting all the nipples as it should. And that's it, complete, back together.